In the aftermath of a series of high-profile battles with major companies, proxy solicitation firms now find themselves in the spotlight. Here's Charlie Gaspo with more.
Spotlight investigations, kind of interesting. These are the firms that generally turn up the heat on companies like J.P. Morgan, advising investors whether they should split the chairman and CEO role. As you know, Jamie Dimon won that battle recently, won overwhelmingly. Now it looks like the proxy solicitation firms are going to be on the hot seat. They are essentially the target of an investigation, subcommittee hearings by the House Financial Services Committee that begin on Wednesday. So this is going to be pretty interesting, guys. What the subcommittee is going to look at is whether political forces are driving these guys. So take it for what it's worth. This thing is really heating up.
Whether political forces are driving them, I mean, what are they going to investigate? Whether it's
unions
behind them,
unions pushing them, political environment or an environmental agenda. That's essentially what I hear.
So, how would that investigation go? Because isn't that the majority of the people who engage in their services?
Yeah, I mean, basically what you're going to see is the proxy solicitation firms being called in and put on the hot seat. I mean, that's essentially what I hear now.
It's interesting, right? Because you don't hear about their role coming up as much as being such a big influence.
You always hear about them, behind the scenes. Now they're going to be front and center.
Yeah. And I wonder if they're losing a lot. Do you need some water?
I lost my voice.
Here, let me let you have this here. You always wonder about if they're going to maintain the same power going forward. You looked at the attack that they launched on Jamie Dimon. You thought something would come out of that, whether it was J.P. Morgan coming out.
And by the way, let's now that I got my voice back a little bit,
yes.
they got crushed.
Yes, that was where I was going with it.
And I think what people are worried about is if unions are behind them, that unions are paying them and forcing them to go after J.P. Morgan, forcing them to go after Goldman Sachs, and forcing change that's more political than it is really shareholder related. So that's what I think you'll see out of these hearings. We should point out that proxy solicitation firms will be invited. They haven't been invited yet. We should point out that I think Harvey Pitt's going to be there. They're going to have a whole roster of corporate people there. So I think this is going to be the first time we really see this thing get pushed back, the curtain be pushed back, so we actually see exactly how these guys operate. I think, listen, is there a role for recommending how to vote shareholders? Yeah, but shouldn't a shareholder kind of know how to vote? I mean, if you pay Larry Fink to manage your money, don't you want his expertise on where to vote on this?
Well, that's a great point. So what do you think? What is the best example of where one of these proxy firms has stepped in and made an important difference that's been to the benefit of shareholders?
Well, listen, they've been pushing this breakup of the chairman and CEO for a long time. Yeah. I think they have some impact on that. I mean, listen, I think the J.P. Morgan thing was pretty key.
Yeah.
If you look at what Dimon did. Dimon basically went out, he attacked Barack Obama's economic policies, and then he was ganged up on by these proxy solicitation firms, unions, and pension advocates. And here's kind of interesting. I never knew this. Glass Lewis is a proxy solicitation firm.
Right.
Right? I mean, they are owned by, I think, the Toronto Union, the Toronto Pension Fund. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, a conflict of interest. And ISS, listen, if you're getting a lot of your money from the unions, right? What are you going to do? You're going to push their political agenda. Part of their political agenda is shutting up people like Dimon, and it's splitting the chairman and CEO role to diminish the power of the chief executive.
But they hide behind ISS, and it makes it seem like institutional shareholders. It's this, non-political, just looking out for what is best for the average shareholder. Right. And that's not what it is at all.
Well, I mean, listen, we're making somewhat political statements here. They would say they do a fair job. They basically, represent interests of all shareholders. My only point is this: they are being paid heavily now by unions and public pension funds, which obviously have a political agenda when it comes to. They are, well, I mean, they're regulated like any other business. I don't think they're regulated like a Wall Street firm. But I mean, here's the thing: I think now we're finally going to see exactly how they operate.
Interesting.
Okay, Charlie.
Good stuff, Charlie. Thank you. Don't die there. Go get your voice back. Whatever is happening. All right, as we do every 15 minutes.